Yes.
Hi, Paul Sakis, Good News Broadcast, speaking to Christiana Capra. Hi, Christiana. How are you?
I'm good today, Paul. How are you?
Okay, good. And Dr. Maria Karavidas. Hi, Doctor. How are you?
Hello, Paul.
I'm happy. Good, and I'm happy you're here because I'm happy because I'm looking at it right now, a beautiful website. It says Spring Reins, R-E-I-N-S, of Hope. Okay? And first of all, there's getting to horse of the matter. Okay. And there's a beautiful...
It's sort of a spin on getting to the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
But that's really what the horses do, is they help us get to the heart of the matter.
And the beautiful thing here is that the logo is a heart. This is the way I see it. And it's a heart of two beautiful horses with their heads together in love and friendship or whatever, but in beauty here. That's a beauty. Is that the logo of your organization?
That is, actually, and if I have a second, I'll sort of go into how that happened.
Yeah, sure.
My two horses that we use for this work, we use more than two, but the two of them that belong to me, there was a picture taken back in 2006 of the first moment that they met, and it was taken by a brilliant artist by the name of Michael Colavito, and I then took that picture when we were getting ready to launch this program. I took that picture to a pencil artist named Libby Corbin, and I asked her, is there any way that you can sort of rendition this photograph into a logo for us? And we said we really want it to look kind of like a heart, and then, the reins could be in there somehow, and so that's really how that came about.
It's beautiful. There is something about the outside of a horse that is good, and we always love that word good, for the inside of a man, I imagine woman as well. Sir Winston Churchill, okay. What is it about a horse? Are we related to a horse? Is a horse our cousin?
Well, there is a horse-human bond that goes back, I think, about 35,000 years. At least that's about how far they can trace it to the nomads.
That's right.
But I'll say this, in this respect, many people are aware of the benefits of therapeutic riding for, say, autism or physical disabilities. And equine assisted therapy, psychotherapy, and equine assisted learning is stemmed out of that practice, but it's very different in that there's no riding involved. We do ground-based exercises, and the horses are loose. And essentially, in the late 90s, there was a side effect to the therapeutic riding that a lot of the practitioners noticed, in that in addition to the physical improvements, they were also noticing emotional, behavioral, and social improvements. And so a whole movement started using horses as healers or teachers without including the riding.
And in fact, the field of equine-assisted psychotherapy is just growing rapidly. Since 2006, for example, there's been a growth rate of over about 200% in the United States alone.
Interesting. And I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just going to add that, this new field, I'll say new because it's just, maybe 10 years old at this point, is practiced in almost every country in the world. So there's got to be something to it if it's growing that fast, and the horses are really the integral part of it. And a lot of people will say, well, why horses? Because animals are used, as animal-assisted therapy. But horses really are a symbol of power and grace, and they're very truthful teachers. They have an extraordinary ability to activate self-awareness in humans by mirroring or acting out physically metaphors of our hidden or conflicting feelings and beliefs. And so, as a therapeutic team, we at every session we have present a licensed horse professional as well as a licensed. Dr. Karavidas is a licensed clinical psychologist, and so this way we are prepared in any event of what might occur in that session to handle it in a safe, emotional way. But we ask the clients to perform ground-based exercises with the horses, and they're loose, and the horses are free to express and act out or physically, replicate what is going on inside of, the humans.
So, Dr. Maria, you are a veteran as well, or you're a clinical psychologist?
No, I'm sorry. I'm a clinical psychologist, a veteran. No, although.
We work
veterinarian.
Right.
It's Veterans Day. I'm sorry, veterinarian.
No, I'm actually the psych doctor for the humans. But one of the things we know, though, as a psychologist, and have become very acutely aware, our field has, that animal-assisted work is very, very powerful. Most psychotherapies, for example, are focused on the verbal content, where in equine-assisted psychotherapy, there's an emphasis on the nonverbal component. So what you say, is it who you are? That this discrepancy between what we say and what we do oftentimes gives us rich clinical information that we may not get in a kind of a traditional psychotherapy venue. So EAP work, equine-assisted psychotherapy, takes us out of our element, challenges us, puts us in a new context, it lets down the barriers because we're simply interacting with horses. And the treatment team, us, Christiana and I, would have kind of the luxury of observing these nonverbal patterns that do provide this rich source of clinical information.
And the horses are really rich barometers of truth and congruency. I'll give you an example. If we're doing a session with a client who's really having, maybe they're having a bad day that day and they walk in with a lot of anger going on. But as most of us do, we put up a facade, and saying, we put on a smile and we pretend that we're not angry. And that's a conditioning thing. But the horses are not paying attention to our pleasant tone of voice or our smile. They're only reacting to the anger that is in our heart, and that's what they see and respond to. And I think Dr. Karavidas will back me up on this, is that, they are very sensitive to our respiratory and our heart rate, and will react to that as opposed to the facade that we might be putting forward.
Because they really have no choice. Their way of communication is through observing the physical. So they even respond acutely to things like our thought patterns, our mental imagery, and our body language. There's some research in the animal communication world that demonstrates that.
Do you have some, I'm a video character. Do you have some video on any of this? Do you have visuals of somebody?
Yes, our website is still a little bit under construction, and I have to take hats off to Spry Marketing because they're doing a marathon for us to get it up. But on the homepage, there are 2 videos that were done by EGALA, which is the certification organization that we are certified under. So there's 2 videos there, and then under our resources section, we have quite a number of videos from programs all over the world that are doing this work, and it really helps support, because as you say, a picture or a video tells 1,000 words. No matter how beautifully you say it or tell it, if you can see it and witness it, it makes all the difference. So yes, we do have some resources like that on our site.
Okay, we'll talk about, I can see, gorgeous, experience there. So we're in the visual mode right now in our own minds and brains here. So I come, tell me if this is the right scenario. I come to you, I'm stressed, and I've tired and exhausted. I'm working in Manhattan and got a zillion trillion inputs going on, but I'm a country boy, okay?
In Manhattan could have you needing some stress reduction, right?
Well, actually, to be frank, I go for my stress reduction. I grew up in Tarrytown, so I know you're up in Westchester, right? Maybe Goshen's not in that area, but and so I would go to the Rockefeller Estate, and they have bison, and they have horses, and they have cows, and I would hang out, and I would cool out. Is it similar, or there's something that you do? Tell us, how does it actually work? So I come up to, do I go somewhere? What do I do? How does it work?
Well, research does show that people experience many physiological benefits while interacting with horses, including things like lowered blood pressure, increased beta-endorphin levels, and decreased stress levels. If you think that the heart of a horse is about 5 to 7 times larger than ours, according to the Heart Math Institute, for example, they have just a larger electromagnetic field. So just being in their presence helps for us to have this access a deeper understanding, experience a kind of heart-based relationship, and puts us in a state of powerfulness.
And that's such a great point. And I'll add to that, actually, in that what I'm finding is that in today's modern world, with the mobile office and the BlackBerries and texting and everything that's going on, we are tending as a society to spiral away from our natural world and our natural truth of where we come from. And so animals, and I'll say particularly horses, because even though they are domesticated, most of them, they always are able to revert back to their primal wild instincts within an instant. And so by interacting with them and finding a way to interact with them, especially if you have no horse experience, it's even more powerful. It really tends to ground us and bring us back to our natural based, world. And that can only help improve our relationships on a BlackBerry if we have more of a connection to our natural base.
So what do you do? I mean, do I understand? Does somebody come to be with you and a horse, and then you help talk to the people? Or
yes,
tell us about what literally happens.
We have 2 locations, and at each location there are horses that we use. This is scheduled by appointment, so it's unfortunately not a walk-in-the-door kind of thing. But, for example, one exercise that we'll start out with, let's say we have a brand new client, and we've done our pre-screening with them, so we kind of understand what they want to work on. And so in that first session with the horses, we may have 2 or 3 horses loose in the arena, and, we'll say to the client, okay, there's a few horses here. We'd like you to pick one out that you'd like to work with today and go get it and bring it back. And we don't really give a lot of instruction because there's much information to be gained by the treatment team to observe how this client decides what horse they're going to pick, how they decide that they're going to get the horse to come back with them, whether they use some of the, equipment we have in the ring for them to use, or if they just decide to try and, get the horse to walk with them, voluntarily. But all of these decisions help us determine where they're at as far as problem-solving skills and, esteem issues. And I can let you jump in here, Doctor, if you have anything to add. Okay. But based on that, and again, there's no right or wrong way to do this because we're not working with horsemanship skills. We're not teaching people how to halter a horse or how to ride a horse. We're trying to teach them experientially how to find their own solutions.
And in a safe environment with that, they can come to fore.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow,
and the horse will give us many metaphorical, physical things for us to read off of and be able to say, gee, I noticed when you were walking back with the horse, he kept stopping. Is there anything in your life that keeps stopping you? Or, we are able to use those metaphors, and it has to relate to the client. Like the client has to be able to say, yes, that does make sense. Because if it doesn't, then we just sort of let it go. It may be something that we thought was something, but it wasn't.
There are always parallels that kind of come up as a result of that work, and that's what Christiana was saying about metaphors. These parallels sometimes are so insightful that people in the moment recognize them, but ultimately the horse is a very powerful biofeedback venue. It shows us...
I'm sorry.
It shows us a very powerful way, one that we can't ignore because it's about 1,000 pounds in front of us.
Right.
What's kind of going on for us? And we as a treatment team can notice that and bring it to people's attention, but oftentimes the horses will continue to bring up these things for people over and over again, even if they want to ignore them themselves.
Let me ask you a question. Many years ago, I interviewed a gentleman, I think his name was Marty Roberts, and he did the horse whispers, and it was for me because I'm a one world, one. I am a believer that the horse is related to me. I'll speak for my own self and all animals.
I'll probably join that bandwagon with you.
Okay, and the plants and the trees and everything else. That's sort of
living.
That's kind of thing. And I think that the DNA discovery that has happened in our lifetime is proving these kinds of things. So it's all good the way I see it now. So I remember how Marty was talking about, and first thing is how you handle a horse. I mean, I would imagine that would be important for then now how to handle a horse and a human being together. I mean, the horses are horses, and they will need to, just like a human being, you have to be nice to your horse, right? You have to pat your horse, you have to feed your horse, you have to take care of your horse and love your horse, and the horse has to love you, right? So I'm venturing to say that that's already happens. That's the way you both, you're lovers of horses, right?
Yes, we are both avid riders and horsewomen ourselves,
okay.
And so that's really what led us to this work, is our passion for horses. But I'll have to maybe do a little twist on that. Whereas Monty Roberts is doing horse whispering, in other words, he's helping horses and humans interact together as that symbiotic partnership. We are doing a little slant on that. I'd like to maybe call it, and this is the first time I'm saying this, I'd like to maybe call it people whispering, where the horses are actually whispering to the people.
Okay.
And to us, to give us the clues as to where we might need to lead that session to have a positive outcome. And I should mention, too, we do a lot of corporate work. We work with corporate teams and organizations to develop team building, leadership skills, and congruency. And that helps you in everything from your negotiations to having a more productive team at your company.
Well, it's all fascinating. I love to come out to, I don't know if I call it the ranch, right?
The farm.
But it's all, at one point what was going on in my mind is when, like, there was another movie with Billy Crystal and Jeffrey Goldblum. They went out to...
Oh, yeah.
That's probably...
They were like a roundup, a dude ranch or something, right?
Getting out of New York, out of the city, and a little change and riding a horse. I figure I'll be like that. So
I'll tell you what, Paul, we don't have any buffalo, but you're welcome to come out to Spring Reins of Hope anytime.
Thanks so much. All right, well, we're going to have your link here and send people to your site. Congratulations, and I think it's a beautiful way for people to grow, to be healed. Last question, what's good news for each one of you?
Good news is that we're finally reaching our destiny and our dream and being able to do this work.
That's right.
It's very good news for us, and good news that you are helping us put the platform out there. So thank you
so much, Paul.
Okay, it's our pleasure and our honor. So thanks. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.